Hello, this is Andrew Hara, writer-director, and you're listening to The Bomb Squad, where we appreciate underappreciated films. I'm here with my co-host, Joshua Epp, and we're talking this week about The Guest. This is our 10th episode, and every 5th episode, we let Josh pick, and last time he picked The Dud Jumper, which didn't have any legs. But this week, he has redeemed himself because we're talking about the 2014 film The Guest, directed by Adam Wingard and written by Simon Barrett. And it stars Dan Stevens.
It's probably Simon Barrett. I don't know how you got that so wrong.
Harley Barnett? That's where I got it. Simon Barrett.
Maybe we're both wrong, but Simon Barrett is more likely than Simon Barrett.
No, I said Simon Barrett, and I got it from Harley Barrett Davison. Anyway, hey, listen, buddy. You pronounce my name right first, Hollywood, and then I'll get back to you, all right? Anyway, back to the point. It stars Dan Stevens. It stars Minka Monroe, who is from It Follows. She's famously from It Follows, and it stars a lot of character actors that you've seen, but you've never, like, you probably don't know their name. Like, stars Leland Orson. He plays the dad, and he was like in Seven. It stars Lance Reddick, who was in The Wire, and a bunch of, like, he has that cool voice. It's about a soldier who comes back, or no, he doesn't come back. He finds this family, and he says that he was a friend of their son who just died, and they kind of take him in, to get to know him and everything. And the funny thing is that this movie could have easily been like a heartwarming drama about it's almost like it's kind of the plot. Like, this movie and First Blood start the same, where it's a vet coming back from tour, and he's going to meet this family, and like he just wants to reconnect with his friend or whatever. And so this movie could have easily been like a heartwarming drama, but it's not where it goes with it. And so Josh, tell us why you picked The Guests.
It's good. That's my thing. No, I would say even on rewatch, because I feel like sometimes when I'm rewatching these movies, I'm just like, all right, let's just see what we see, But I feel like with The Guest, I was like, oh man, I'm hyped. Is this one of the best Halloween movies?
I don't know.
Kind of half-assedly. I almost say it's weird because I was telling someone about it, and they're like, oh, is it like really gory? I'm like, kind of. And they're like, is it scary? I'm like, kind of. I don't know. It's more like tense, and like it's almost like a horror movie that looks like an action movie. I've actually heard it described as like an anti-war movie, which
Yeah, well, it
you
definitely
kind of get
is.
like the idea of like PTSD, but
Yeah. One of the things I like about it is that it almost feels like an adult Halloween movie. Like, and I don't mean like it's for adults, because it clearly is. But what I mean is that the movie, because it takes place around Halloween, but it feels like how you feel about Halloween when you're an adult, where I'm just
yeah.
it's the bare minimum, where it's like, yeah, we've kind of grown out of it, and now it's time to like just enjoy the day, but like it's not the whole month. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, obviously I enjoy the whole month, but like for a lot of people, it's just like one day out of the year. It's kind, and it kind of reminds me. It has the same structure as like Uncle Buck with John Candy. It's just like an evil. Like, what if Uncle Buck was evil? Dan Stevens plays David, the vet coming back, and like he's very polite. He's always like trying to help. Little son is being bullied for being gay or something. He's not. I don't think he is gay, but I think they think he's gay because it's high school. And David, he's talking to the kid.
They take it off you and beat you up. You go around their houses at night and burn them down with their families inside. What's the worst they can do?
Like that almost, it's almost
it's
like a real advice. It's almost real advice of like, don't let the bullies win, like stand up for yourself. And that's kind of how his whole character is, where he always takes it one step in the opposite direction of sinister, even though he's constantly trying to help.
you almost think there's a sense of progression, like he's getting more extreme. But you realize, like, if you think about it, you're like, oh no, he was all like, he was this extreme from the start, and they're just seeing more and more of it. You
Right.
know,
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
an interesting idea. Like you think he's at first he's just helping, like he's helping the son like fight the bullies off, and then he's also like helping, like I believe when he goes to the party, the girl's ex shows up and causes trouble, so he like smashes his head against like a picture frame. You know, it's like,
Right.
oh, he's like violent, but he's doing it in a way where he thinks he's saving people. But then you also find out, like within a day or a couple days of arriving, he's faked the suicide of the dad's boss and also killed the boss's girlfriend just so the dad can get a promotion. And they only find out a couple days later, you know,
Right.
as like the plots like move forward.
Right.
But it's like, oh, he immediately did that, like after arriving in town. Like it wasn't even like a build up to that. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna go find this guy and kill him for you. You know?
Right. He never stops playing the same character.
It's more that you are aware, like now that he's targeting the wrong people, you're like, oh, this
Right.
guy would be like terrifying.
But yeah, I will say, okay, so like David, he's going from event to event, much like Uncle Buck, and he's kind of like he's getting unhinged. He buys a gun, and then he kills the gun runners, and then he like blames the boyfriend, the daughter's boyfriend.
What I do like, yeah, is that the daughter Anna, she's 20 in the movie. They I believe they make a point of saying like, you're not 21 yet. She's like, I will be in a few weeks or something like that. You know?
Right.
Then the big argument is that she's saying she doesn't have a boyfriend because he's like an older guy who's a drug dealer who's clearly been dating her since she was like 17 or something like that. And then it's just like this funny like, oh, there's this history that David walked into that he doesn't fully understand, but he gets it enough to just like completely like blow it up, you know. It almost, the movie makes it sound like the cops realize that the gun isn't the boyfriend's, but they did also find drugs in his car, so he's still gonna stay arrested. Like David doesn't actually cover his tracks very well. Like multiple people figure out that he's lying a lot, but it's almost like his momentum just keeps letting him like kind of get away with it until the end.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
not like a movie where it's like, oh man, it's not like a Scooby Doo. It's like if it wasn't for those kids, he would have gotten away with it. David is like breaking down from the beginning. Like he doesn't when he kills the guys who sold him the gun, it's not like, oh man, he definitely figured out a smart way to do it. He just shoots them. And he does that a
and then like,
lot.
hey, he doesn't even hide the bodies.
Yeah, I feel like he's constantly breaking down, which again kind of adds to his character. They find out who David is, and the sister's kind of trying to figure out exactly who he is, and so she calls like the FBI or someone, and then like the army shows up, and they're like, "We're looking for David. He's like a failed experiment." Um, I feel like we don't need those army guys. I feel like they don't add enough to the movie. I mean, eventually you knew that things were gonna come to a head.
It is tough because I will say, I mean, I think Lance Reddick's great in this. I mean, he's always good. But there is like the scenes you see of where it cuts from Anna calling because she has concerns about him to like the actual military headquarters, and then like the
Right.
guy like walks into the meeting, is like, we need to talk, and they kind of have that moment. That does feel like egregious, and I almost feel you need something like that, or David's whole origin would almost be too mysterious. So there had to be some sort of way to get the information about like why he's doing it, to at least kind of like wrap it up. And maybe they could have been a little less on the nose with it.
It would have been better if you had no idea why David is the way he is. Like, has he always been like this? Is this a new thing? Like, who is he? Was he even like part of the army? So I feel like, yeah, it doesn't like it's not. It's definitely not like a killer of the film, but I would have liked more ambiguity as to what David is and why he is the way he is. But yeah, it doesn't hurt it in any way.
And it is weird because they do all die right away, and they don't like help other than he gets her from one location to another. But
It does lead to
good.
one of my favorite scenes where David, he like goes to see the friend at the diner that the daughter works at, that Anna works at, and he's like asking her where Anna is, and the friend is like obviously lying. So then David's like, okay, and then he just shoots her, and then he like walks out, and he walks back in with two hand grenades, and he just kind of rolls them. But before he rolls them, he kind of gives like a shrug, like, "What are you gonna do?" And then he rolls the hand grenade and blows up the entire diner and kills everyone inside.
Yeah, it's like he's the same kind of charming guy who like showed up at the beginning of the movie just to tell them about their son. But it's just like, well, my mission is to clean up after myself. No witnesses.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know.
He's here to get.
I'm sorry.
It's just like, oh, this movie goes to excess in such good ways.
I don't want to say tongue in cheek, but it's definitely having fun with the premise. And it wants you to join in on the fun, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not quite a comedy, but it's so kind of like aware in that way where it's like, come on, like this is just a good time
Yeah.
that you're like, yeah. Whenever they're going to the party, she's dressed in like stockings and like a skeleton outfit. You're like, oh, that's all right. But then later you see her getting ready for work,
Right?
and to her job, she also wears like stockings.
Yeah.
And like it's just very like, oh, okay. She just always dresses like it's kind of Halloween.
Yeah, and the dress, like the uniform they wear, it's like a cheerleading uniform. It's not like a waitress uniform. Like the
It's like the slutty waitress costume
Yeah,
you find at
exactly.
like a Halloween store. Yeah.
which again just adds to the funness. It's a good movie, and it's too late now because by the time this airs, it's gonna be like Christmas time. Um,
Yeah.
but it's
So
still
watch
worth
it
watching.
next year,
Yeah,
I guess.
We'll watch it now and then put it on the list for next year's Halloween. But yeah, I think overall, The Guest, it's like a good movie. Again, one of my favorite things. It's not that long. And it's just a fun time. I love movies that are fun times. That kind of feel like you go in and you come out and you're like, wow, I feel better because I had so much fun at this movie, you know?
Yeah, it's completely one of those, and it's even having seen it quite a few times at this point, and I hadn't watched it in at least a couple years though. Putting it on now, it's just it's such a delight, even when you know what's coming, like the way it all kind of plays out. And I think I don't know, just it's that tone, it's that like vibe to it that it's so good.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
watch.
I would say yes to The Guest.
Yes,
That's my recommendation.
let the guest in,
That's
Josh.
it's not as good as mine.
My name's Andrew Hara. My films are The Last Ones and Borderlands, which are available on Amazon for rent. And if you want to see Borderland and see what happened with that movie, you can see it. My current film is The Empty Space, which has already premiered at the Sacramento Horror Film Festival. And it's back in festivals, so who knows? It also played at the American Horror Film Festival. And my short film Wellness Check is playing in Italy at the Be Afraid Film Festival. And yeah, that one's still in festivals. I think it's about to end its festival run because it's just short and we didn't expect it to go into so many festivals. It was supposed to already be
Yeah.
online, but I mean champagne problems, am I right? Joshua? I just can't
guess.
stop
I don't
winning after
That's
20 years of being in the industry.
yeah, I would definitely call any of our current situations winning. That's how I feel.
But yeah, watch The Guest. Tell us you love it. And then, yeah, follow us on social media. My Twitter is Hara_films or The Bomb Squad. It's the_bomb with a 0_squad. Or like and subscribe our stuff. It does help. It gets us more views. So if you're liking these, like and subscribe on your podcast and on your YouTubes. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you next week. I don't know what we're covering next week, but it'll be horror because people only watch the horror episodes. Yeah, like and subscribe our stuff, guys, and we'll see you next week.